As Walt Disney Company Parks and Resorts plans to spend $60 billion over the next 10 years to expand their parks and resorts, there doesn't seem to be much coming to Walt Disney World itself, unless you're looking to buy more Disney Vacation Club, otherwise known as timeshares by Disney. And when the theme parks themselves get something new, it seems to replace something old. Is the Walt Disney Company spending a lot of money just to tread water? Let's talk about that on That Park Place. While the Walt Disney Company positions themselves and markets as a premium resort, the experiences themselves seem to be lowering in quality and raising in price. In addition, that legendary white glove experience is now coming at a premium cost instead of being available to anyone who buys a ticket to a Walt Disney park. As we hear news of the $2 billion Fantasy Springs expansion at Tokyo Disney Sea over in Japan, and a Frozen Land coming to Hong Kong Disney World, Zootopia coming to Shanghai, we're even hearing news that they might be putting Pandora at Disneyland Paris. Meanwhile, the US parks are getting an expansion of DVC, something that requires a tens of thousands of dollars investment over several decades. Meanwhile, the Jungle Cruise is falling apart. Is the parks and resorts experience at the Walt Disney Company completely focused in the wrong place? Let's go to our panel.
When was the last time we got an actual addition without actually having a subtraction in the Florida space?
Was it Tron?
Yeah. No.
Well, culture, enlighten us.
Well, okay. Think about everything that was part of Innoventions. You lost massive amounts of real estate and different types of miniature attractions in that location. You've lost a lot every time you've supposedly gained something. And I think the attraction count property wide is still sitting somewhere between 65 and 70. And that number's been fairly static for a long time.
Yep.
I think the last time you got addition without subtraction would have been Pandora.
And one could argue that took out Camp Mini Mickey to make that whole thing possible. It's minor, but to Culture's point, though, I mean, look at the flip side of that coin, which is the resorts and DVCs and all that. I mean, those have trifold increases, whereas the attraction side of the business hasn't necessarily increased. So where are all those people going to go?
Well, and then exactly, and here's the other problem, because you just pointed out something that's brilliant that I think a lot of DVC owners have realized. Disney's destroying the value of going to Disney for those people. You were supposed to be able to go and have an affordable vacation by investing in the upfront in the properties in the DVC. You were saving your family money down the road. Maybe it's 5-10 years down the road when those vacations would be, the cost would be cut in half because you were no longer paying for the lodging. Well, they've overcome that at Disney, and now you're paying 3 times as much as you were back when you purchased those DVC points. So you're seeing contracts now going right underneath first right of refusal. For those of you who are not familiar, we're talking about the Disney Vacation Club, which is Disney's version of a timeshare. And I like I said, I mean, I think you're starting to see that. People think there's not all that. Think of all the perks you lost. If you're an DVC owner, you lost all those perks. So you no longer you have to rent a car or pay for a transportation from the airport. And there's no Magical Express, which was, one of the things that was provided. I can go through a whole list of things that were lost.
Right.
And then,
which the value loss on that, they kept you in the parks by having to use Magical Express. So you had to stay there and pay for more things. So I would love to know how close that was before they finally gave up on it.
They didn't even give you the ability to even buy annual passes for the time that they were selling DVCs at the same time, or that for the time period that you were a DVC member, in which they weren't selling annual passes. Before, they used to just give you them. Now you couldn't even buy them for a period of time. That dynamic has changed, obviously, but it's like, what am I getting for my money is kind of the question there.
All right, so let's go to culture, and then we're going to do a super chat, which transitions us into our next topic.
Anyway, I just, like you said, the loss of value across the board as a consumer of any Disney product in a physical location is massive, and I think that you're losing your strongest fans. I mean, the grandparents are the people that are in a position where they have to force a trip to Disney now, and a lot of them are say like, this is too expensive for me to even try to do. So I think Disney's ailing. Disney's ailing in a way that I don't think any of the investors are even aware of. Yeah, and I mean, this is why I appreciate what Vash is doing. I appreciate what you and Pro are doing there, Jonas, because you're bringing to light all of these issues with not just Disney, but other entertainment companies who are not looking long term. at their future.
I think that you stumble on a very good point. We get a lot of comments. What's funny is when we talk about DVC and we talk about things that are not on the radar of the general public, like Wish is not really on the general radar of the public.
Oh,
So when we talk about those things, we get a lot of people in the comments that are saying, you're just Disney haters. No, you're not quite correct there. We're haters of current Disney, maybe, based on our comments, which I think our comments are reasonable, but who doesn't think their own comments are reasonable?
Oh.
The thing that we are looking at is people who are longtime fans of the company and want to see the company doing well. We see all of these problems. When you have people that are interested in DVC seeing problems, DVC, by Disney's own admission in recent calls with investors and recent presentations to investors, they consider DVC to be super fans of the company. When people are looking at a 30-year investment in the Walt Disney Company and saying, I don't think you have what it takes, I don't think you're headed in the right direction, this presents a problem. I wouldn't be surprised to see a stark difference in DVC numbers going forward. And I don't expect them to break out their DVC numbers on any of their upcoming earnings calls.
I think they'd be terrified to do so. I don't know, Vash. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, there has definitely been some really fluky stuff going on in that segment. We just recently heard about, the villas at Disneyland Hotel. Somebody's getting out of that DVC contract. A few months actually after it went live. We're seeing the right of refusal kind of being played with. Disney wasn't actually buying up those contracts when they actually came up. So that was kind of a weird, fluky thing. Has the demand shaken in terms of that? Has the demand been impacted by some of their other decisions related to the parks or related to Disney in general? That's kind of an interesting question right there. But yeah, that is the golden goose for their theme park side of the business. And like other golden gooses, perhaps Disney has meddled with it so much that it's not laying golden eggs. We'll see.
Right. They've stayed at the top of the game so long that they've put so many things for people to have to tolerate for so long that eventually the dam just breaks. And if they can get their foot in the door over there, if Universal gets their foot in the door and says, here, do one trip at Universal and see how it goes, all of a sudden they're in a theme park that reminds people very much of what 1990s era Disney was. It's not fantastic, but you know what? Theming's good. Prices of food are not astronomical. By the way, the food's maybe even a little bit better on the casual service side of things. You're not in your phone the entire time. You don't need a degree in Universal Studios in order to navigate that theme park. You're only in your phone for wait time listings and mobile ordering, which I think we're all ready to say mobile ordering is probably a net positive reason to be at a theme park.
I could tell you two things, Jonas. One is people have said, "Hey, have you ever wondered what the Disney decade was like?" Well, we're living it right now with Universal. That's one. But two, Universal's coming at them. I mean, you have the head of that division saying, "Hey, look, listen, we want a week-long experience in Orlando. We have a third theme park on the way with, by the way, a fourth that is being proposed and developed right now. We have a corridor from Universal Core to Epic Universe that they plan to fill out with resort hotels. They're planning to get to the scale that Disney is currently right now in a very short period of time.
Yeah. If they can get people to where they are truly locked into the Universal complex, there they will have unlocked profitability in a way that I don't. They will be a true competitor to Disney if they can get people staying. Oh, we're staying Universal on property as opposed to just giving them hotel options.
Yeah.
Well, they have the option for that Lockheed land when Lockheed abandons that location, which they are considering doing. They've been looking at another location, in a different area. So so this is something which I don't think a lot of people realize how massive that area is. I mean, the reason they can build Epic Universe is because some of that land was some of that Lockheed stuff that they just sold. But I have a feeling we're going to see them expand in a way we are not prepared for at a rate we have not seen in a long time. Think about how quickly they were able to build Epcot, which has now been in place for how many years? They put that together so quickly, and yet it took them twice as long to build one attraction in the Magic Kingdom. So You know,
Right.
I look at these things and I go, they're not doing what they need to do to compete or maintain. Disney is losing ground in the theme parks, and obviously, as the numbers we just looked at and all that Mike has said, that's obvious to investors. It's obvious to investors.
Thank you so much for listening this far. If you like this kind of video, please consider hitting that like button. Of course, share it out on social media if you know someone who might be interested in this kind of conversation. And if you personally are interested in what we're throwing down, please subscribe to That Park Place for all the news that should be fun.
Thanks for watching That Park Place News. For more information, consider checking out www.thatparkplace.com for all the news that should be fun. Don't forget to subscribe, share, like, and send this out on your favorite social media accounts.